how are you seeing things on the field and getting more comfortable now that you've had a couple games as a starter?
I think a lot of it just kind of speaks on the coaching and just, they've done a really good job with me during the week and just getting ready, knowing where to have my eyes and just kind of what to expect. And then on some of the plays I made, the big things were just trusting the technique and for the interception, just having enough depth to be able to, take a good angle to go get that ball. And then in man coverage, just, winning your leverage and just really just doing your job.
Can you break down that interception?
Yeah, really, kind of we were in a three high shell or a three deep zone, and the quarterback kind of I saw the corner to that side was pressed, so the quarterback was kind of eyeing that, and number 0 is one of the guys they really like to get to the ball to on the outside. So I saw him look over there, and I kind of knew he was throwing it, so I just took a good angle and made a play on the ball.
That second quarter, you guys held Buffalo to just 13 offensive yards. What was working defensively that allowed you guys to really rattle Allen so much?
I think the back seven as a group, did a really good job just communicating and talking through some of the different things they were trying to do. But then ultimately, I think, our D-line really came alive. And, I saw we started to get some sacks. The run game, there wasn't really many holes to run through. So I think the D-line, the linebackers did a great job, covering up that run and then, forcing coverage sacks and letting our D-line come alive is, when I think our defense plays the best.
Yeah, ultimately, you guys, didn't come away with the win. But there definitely seemed like there was some improvement from last week to this past week. I know it doesn't, feel good, but are there things that you guys are kind of hanging your hat on, knowing that you're improving in?
Yeah, I think, you learn the most from a loss, but I think, like you kind of said, there is some confidence being built from that, and I think that there's a lot of positive energy and good things going forward into this week, getting ready for this next one against the Giants. So, we're definitely ready to, get our season rolling and take things, on the other end where, we're not hanging our heads from a loss.
These last couple of weeks, it seemed as though your role was kind of expected to increase. Can you just kind of speak to that comfort level?
Yeah, just kind of a next man up mentality, and being lucky enough to have a guy like Justin beside you, a very vocal leader who's done this for a long time, and from playing against the Bills, he's played against them so many times. So, he knows exactly what they want to do, when they want to do it, and, who they want to get the ball to. So, he was really helpful for me that whole week, just, getting me ready and just helping me feel, calm and confident going into that one.
Yeah, Jonas, is that just kind of you? Because, to be able to go out there and trust your instincts against the MVP in a moment that early in your career and, jump her out, is that just who you are, kind of as a person, confident and all that stuff?
Yeah, I think I've always had that confidence, but kind of like I was saying, just, I think a lot of that comes from the people you're around and just, the way the coaches are able to prepare you during the week. I think you can have that confidence, but, having that reassurance and that confidence level from everyone around you as well just kind of makes it easier to just trust the confidence that you have, because you can have confidence, but if you don't trust, what you're doing, there's that setback of just, playing a little slower. So definitely felt that push and that extra shove I needed from everyone else, which has been really great.
And you kind of highlighted Jay Reed now. What's he do to kind of help bring up, some of the young guys in that room?
Yeah, just film study, but also I think just his being so vocal on the field just kind of takes all the thinking out of it, whether it's us talking about, how we want to play something, or just him calling out, what plays he thinks are coming. And even if he's wrong, it just kind of gets your brain thinking before the play. And just, I'm starting to try to, mimic some of those things of just, calling out plays I'm thinking before the play, finding tendencies and indicators, just helping me, play faster.
Did he call anything out on the pick, or was that just all you seeing it and knowing what they like to do?
One of his big, emphasis from the last game that he had for me was just, he noticed. So he'll watch the film and then kind of tell me some things he thinks that, I can change. One of the things was, depth as a post safety, just understanding that, I make a lot more plays coming downhill. So, having that depth as a safety is just going to allow me to see everything and, make a lot more plays.
How much time are you guys spending on film? Because I talked to him and he didn't even know what the practice schedule was. He just said, I just know I have to watch film, to be honest.
You say you talked to Jay Reed?
Yeah.
So you saying how much do we watch film?
Yeah, together.
Yeah, no, we watch film as a unit, and then we also watch film like we watch film as a defensive unit, and we also watch film with our position. But you know, there's time also, you know, outside of that, you know, whether it's, you know, us meeting up outside or, you know, him sending me, you know, little clips of like, hey, like this is something we got to be ready for, or, you know, getting a paragraph about, you know, this situation. You know, the paragraph, one of the paragraphs he sent me was just about, you know, how, you know, Josh Allen, you know, in the key situations is going to take things into his own hands, which he was definitely right, because, you know, every time they were in a pivotal situation, you saw him, you know, tucking that ball and trying to get as many yards as he could. So
Jonas, you guys have been knocking on the door 3 of the last 4 to really get that first win, and you came close once again. But what was it about Sunday that lets you know that the next time you guys hit the field, you will be able to come out on top?
I think just constantly finding ways to improve, and I think just, you know, if we continue to really hone in on those little things that and those key situations where we, you know, need big plays in all 3 phases, I think it's just going to help us, you know, take that next step. You know, obviously I think we struggled on all 3 phases, you know, that prior week against Seattle, but, you know, being able to make those strides against a really good team just gives us, you know, that extra push that we're going to need this week going back home to play against New York.
Did it mean more getting your first career interception against a guy like with that kind of pedigree?
I mean, it probably should. I mean, it was great to get the first interception, and, you know, I was so excited. I really wasn't even thinking about all that, but, you know, thinking about it, you know, it is really cool to, you know, pick off somebody like that, you know, who's had so much success in the league. But, you know, I'm keeping my head down, you know, hopefully ready to get, you know, a bunch more this year.
Did you keep the ball, or did somebody keep the ball for you?
Somebody in the equipment has it. I'll probably get it at some point this week.
Yeah, where are you going to put it? You have a spot yet?
Yeah, I got somewhere in my house for it. The little, like, you know, I got a little room where I kind of keep some of the accolades I've gotten throughout my life, whether it's high school, college, and then now the NFL. So
I know you wanted it to be in a win, but what's the last? I mean, I'm sure in 24 hours, the NFL's platform, you've heard from a lot of people, I assume.
yeah, no, just, you know, a lot of people have kind of highlighted the success I had, which, you know, is nice, but, you know, I'm a pretty serious competitor, so, you know, in my mind, you know, it's great to play well, but the most important thing is winning. So, you know, my focus is, you know, now on the next opponent. You know, I'm not worried about any of that no more. So I'm ready to go, you know, get this win.
Thank you.
Thank you.